This is another beautiful day the Lord has given unto you and I. Ebusia me gidi sa dum ni ahye into Nyankopon adum ye nyina ye ho ye. Me yin Eddie Francis Achu aka Possible. Me mo akwa awashon eba Possible TV GH. Yes, unim se minyaji makunya se o man konkron Ghana mu nsem na me de eba besom. Me no kaso di waku ya drop. Me pese me se wadaji no. Nsa edan sayem yenko ne nkweti nsem e wo.
Is to see our parliamentary caucus working together and also cooperating with the Speaker of Parliament. Why did we struggle to get an NDC person elected as a Speaker of Parliament? There are certainly some advantages, and those advantages can be tapped into when your leadership is cooperating with the Speaker. So we cannot have a situation where MPP leadership is cooperating with the Speaker and our NDC leadership have challenges cooperating with the Speaker.
For the SMP or more, now some so now show on my YouTube channel.
Be the first to know.
Let's begin quickly. So we have two issues: MPP polling station executives issues. But let's start right now with Johnson Asiedu Nketia. Very quickly, in 15 minutes we'll be done. Kennedy Japan is here. He's our big story for 2 hours. We're dealing with Asiedu Nketia. 15 minutes we'll be done. Now, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, we know the confusion that erupted when he sent a letter to the Speaker of Parliament indicating that changes were to be made in the NDC leadership. Well, a lot of concern expressed from party members all over the place. Now, he is speaking from London, where he accompanied President Mahama to deliver a speech at Chatham House. Johnson Asiedu Nketia expressed his views about the matter during question and answers with his party people. First of all, he talked about consultation. Let's see that video, the video on consultation. Here's Asiedu Nketia speaking.
And so, as a leader, I take full responsibility for the decision. And I don't want anybody to blame anybody at all for that decision. I take full responsibility for the decision, and I believe that I've done all the necessary consultation before taking that decision. And the only group we did not consult was the caucus, the parliamentary group. And it is for good reason. If the exercise was going to be done after an election, then there is nobody in charge. You are now going to look for an identified talent for the new leadership. But if you are going to take a decision which will result in the removal of leadership, how are you going to call them and say, come and help me to remove you? Nobody does that. No president consults with his cabinet about the decision to change members of the cabinet. And so it wasn't practical for you to call the leadership. Are you going to meet the caucus without the leadership you are going to change, or you are going to meet them with the leadership? And who controls that meeting? So in such matters, you take the decision and inform them and justify that decision. And that is what precisely we have done.
Okay, so that's Johnson Asiedu Nketia comparing himself to the elected president of Ghana, who is dealing with his cabinet ministers and also. All right. Now, he said that the people that he needs to do the changes on, he cannot consult them. Last week, Kwesi Pratt had a completely different view. Hear him.
You're appointing leaders for a group of people.
Yeah.
You are not appointing shepherds for sheep.
Yeah.
If you are appointing shepherds to go and look after sheep, you may not have to consult the sheep.
True.
You are appointing leaders for your parliamentarians. And you don't think that it is necessary to consult them? My goodness, what is this?
So you had the answer for Johnson Asiedu Nketia. Kwesi Pratt says that, how do you elect people? The MPs, they are not, excuse me to say, they are not sheep that you are electing a shepherd. They are elected members of parliament. But Johnson Asiedu Nketia feels that he shouldn't consult them because about them himself. And then he said that the president, can you put the president thing on, please? And then he said that the president's a choice, when the president wants to do a cabinet reshuffle, he doesn't consult the ministers. So this is the point we've been making all the time. Johnson Asiedu Nketia has completely misunderstood his role as a general, as a chairman of the party. You know why? Because he's radical and he doesn't consult. So he's misunderstood his role. He says that he wants to make changes in parliament. He doesn't need to consult them because the changes is about them. So he doesn't need to consult them. And then he likens it to the president of Ghana, any president of Ghana, who selected his ministers, and that when he wants to change ministers, he doesn't tell them. Did Johnson Asiedu Nketia, as chairman of the party, select them parliamentarians? Is he the one who made them parliamentarians so that when he has a leadership choice, he doesn't have to tell them? Now, we put this here so that you can understand. This is the graphics, the graphical expression of Article 78 in the 1992 Constitution. Those of you who are friends with Asiedu Nketia, go and tell him that Article 78 explains the matter better, and that his understanding of the relationship between a party chairman and the members of parliament and their leadership, that he is comparing it to, he's not actually comparing, he's putting it side by side with the relationship between a president and the ministers that he selects, so that when the president wants to change the ministers, he need not tell them. So this is the graphical representation of President Akufo-Addo and his ministers. So you know that deliberately we made President Akufo-Addo big and his ministers smaller, because the mandate of the ministers, the 100% of the ministers' mandate, is Akufo-Addo's mandate. That's what it says. So next president, Atta Mills, is here. These are his ministers. The mandate of Atta Mills is what he's sharing with his ministers. He, Atta Mills, is offering his ministers that. And then we put another president here. J. Kufuor is there. This is Article 78. This is the president of Ghana. These are his ministers. He appoints them. They owe the appointment to him. But here's Asiedu Nketia, because of his ego and because he's radical and he thinks everything he's doing is correct, he has completely misread it, and he sits down comfortably, actually laughing and saying that, well, I mean, if the president wants to change me, does he tell them? So he's changing the leadership of parliament. He doesn't need to tell them. That's wrong. Very, very wrong. Now here it is, Article 78.1. Ministers of state shall be appointed by the president with the prior approval of parliament from among members of parliament or persons qualified to be elected as members of parliament, except that the majority of ministers of state shall be appointed from among members of parliament. This is the 1992 Constitution. This is what makes the president appoint ministers. Johnson Asiedu Nketia is comparing that to his role as chairman. He's the boss, and he is presenting, he is telling MPs that this will be your leader. You better shut up. That's what he's saying. He's saying that I'm the boss. When the president wants to reshuffle, does he consult the ministers? President doesn't have to consult ministers, because the power relation between president and minister is that the minister is carrying the president's power. The minister works on behalf of the president.